You've made it to week 8 of ITL 508 Technology's Impact on Learning. Thank you for all the rich discussions on the discussion boards and the insights you've given in your learning journals. I especially enjoy viewing the posters, videos, and presentations you have developed in each of the modules. By now, you should have submitted the draft of your TIP, Technology Integration Plan, for your peers to review. If you have not done so, please review the TIPs of the people in your group. This is for your benefit. This will be the last time someone else will look at it before I grade it. You may want to spend time looking at or exploring the TIPs of members in other groups. And if you notice that someone may need something reviewed, please go ahead and, if you have time, to do it for someone else, do a peer review. What I do know about teachers is we are willing and known for our willingness to share and borrow some great ideas. And I would hate for you to miss out on some of the great presentations developed by others in this group. Week 7 provided opportunities to develop 2D and 3D animations. I would bet most of your students would be interested in learning the differences between the two. Just off the top of my head, I can identify a few ways to integrate this into a math lesson in geometry, a compare or contrast reading lesson. How about a persuasive writing assignment? Can you think of any others? This technology has advanced so much, this 3D animation, that it's available on Microsoft 360. I found this cute little dog that wags his tail. You can pick it up and turn it around. There were dinosaurs. There were other educational applications for using this. So if you have a 3D Microsoft 360 available to you, go ahead and try it out in your presentations. And also, don't forget, with the UDL focus and our SAMR models, as well as our technology integration matrix, you can give students opportunities to create their presentations with this type of animation. And for more advanced students or students that may have more time and more artsy and creative, they can create their own animations with some of these programs that are available. Most of them, well, not most of them, but some are for free. The required reading for Module 4 was the ITEA Standards for Technological and Engineering Literacy, Chapter 4. We're back to this book. And Chapter 4 is Technology and Engineering Practices. This chapter highlights the importance for students to develop these practices for a couple of reasons. One is developing proficiency in using technology. Did you feel more confident in creating videos by Module 4? There's a reason why videos were required for multiple assignments. Practice. The more you do it, the better you get. Another reason why these practices are important for developing problem-solving skills. Several of you had learned that different types of files can be a pain to upload into different systems that have different requirements. But once again, with more practice, you became better at solving these types of problems. Another reason why it's important for students to develop practices is so they can develop connections to other disciplines. That's applying knowledge and skills in an interdisciplinary way. And that's the science, math, humanities. So I hope you enjoyed reading the examples of the technology engineering practices in this chapter. One thing that should have stood out from the examples that they gave for each of the 8 practices is that they overlap. These practices really aren't taught in isolation. Some people probably want to, but if you're talking about doing a STEM challenge or engineering activity or even problem-based learning, you should be able to hit more than one standard in more than one context or discipline. As you complete your TIP, look to see how often students will have to use each of the 8 practices. Which practice or practices do you use the most, or are you requiring your students to use the most? Are there any of the practices missing or not addressed? If so, how can you build them into your plan? It's really important that we give kids opportunities to use all 8 and develop all 8. And as it should be done every year and throughout the year. And it's kind of like this cycle where it just grows. The more that they use it, the better they get. And at different levels, you should see growth. So during this last week of class, it's time for you to put all the pieces together. Technology's impact on learning. Let me read the introduction from this book, Natural Learning for a Connected World, Education, Technology, and Human Brain by Kane and Kane. You should recognize these authors. It says, the role of technology is growing exponentially. No longer do teachers and students and content need to be in the same place at the same time. Sophisticated video games are showing the way of the future, where three-dimensional learning, alternate realities and universes, and an expanding cornucopia of fact and expert knowledge will be available for anyone wanting to find them. Isn't that true? And we've learned that over the course of these 8 weeks. And you hopefully are having fun with all the resources that have been listed for our discussion. So if you haven't joined that conversation, please jump in after you had time to explore and play with some of the tools. I wanted to highlight a couple of them, and I'm going to start with this one. Technology and engineering practice number 3, making and doing, fits perfectly with module 4. Making is just simply the act of creating, but doing is the hands-on processes involved with things like building or designing, evaluating technological products and systems. So models and simulations are technological products that can greatly enhance learning. A model is a representation of something. So instead of having just a stapler, my model, I could make a model of a stapler out of paper or clay or any materials I have. And a simulation involves using a model to create an imitation of a system or process. So if I make a 3D picture, maybe with AutoCAD of the stapler, I can show how it staples or simulate how it staples something together. For Christmas, my son gave me the merge cube, and I don't know if I could do justice here, but here I know someone talked about volcanoes and layers of the earth. So here is a model of the Earth's core. And then I probably need a second hand. I can simulate by the model by moving this slider over. And it shows how it expands. So it simulates how it all goes together. It fits. One thing I absolutely loved about modeling and simulation programs and tools is how they can be repurposed. So for example, I have my cell phone that I purchased just to make phone calls. But now I can think about the technology integration matrix and progress. Just if I take the active row and think about active entry. So now, maybe I have students just watch a video. Then I can move through the adoption where I can kind of direct them through an activity using the video or using a resource, to adaptation where now I'm starting to give them choices and let them use the phone and some resources on their own, to infusing, and finally maybe active transformation. So if I can pair it with my phone, I pair it with the VR headset, and now the students maybe can develop a virtual field trip based on a setting and a story they read or historical events. Or maybe a virtual science trip, thinking of Magic School Bus and Miss Frizzle going inside. I think it was Ralphie, the bus went inside to his stomach. So it expands that creativity, or gives students a way to use their creativity and develop it. So we're talking more about those practices, those technology engineering practices that technology can impact in a positive way. So I hope in your TIP you build in some tools, modeling simulation tools, that your students can use to explore or create and show their learning in a new and different way. So the final steps for this last week: number one, please do the peer reviews. That will help not only you, but your other classmate. The second is model and simulation and extended reality activities. That's where you have to select one and show where it would fall on each level of the SAMR model, and then pick another one. And remember, whenever you pick a tool, it's based on your class. So make sure you make those connections in your presentation. So the second one should be based on where it falls on one of these three areas of the technology integration matrix that I have identified here and in the assignment instructions. To finish up your technology integration plan, you need to identify how you're going to assess effectiveness for you and your students. That's formative and summative assessments. And you can give some examples of that. And then you need a differentiation plan specific to students in your class. It had to be one, if you have a student with a particular visual need, then I would highlight that. But if you just want to generalize in students who maybe are struggler readers or who are learning English as their second language, you can make big generalizations like that. And don't forget also your gifted or talented students. So your above average or above level students in particular areas. And your learning journals, don't forget those. Those are kind of an easy lift. We just tend to forget to do those on a regular basis. And all work, I can't accept any late work past Sunday. So make sure you get it in. I know some people have been getting things in early. Thank you. That gives me time to maybe give you a little bit of feedback if I read it ahead of time. I'm going to try to grade them as soon as they come in. I'll check Monday morning, and Wednesday, and then Friday. I'll check those. And office hours are changing this week. So Monday, I will be on from 5 till 6. And then I'll be available Thursday. And of course, you can always use email to contact me in Teams. I've been enjoying meeting with people in Teams. Nice to talk face to face with someone virtually, through the webcam. But make sure you stay on top of the work because there's no wiggle room after this week. I will see you in the discussion board. I'm enjoying reading your responses.